Welcome to a special episode of the M of One podcast where we ask the question, is Mondo's site broken? So basically this happens every single Mondo release. They put up a poster and people get excited, and they always let you know the day before, and then they release it and they sell out immediately. So we're recording
like extra immediately.
Well, extra immediately, depending on who. So we're recording the same day that the Ollie Moss Die Hard print came out. Now, don't get me wrong, another print came out. No disrespect to the artist. Frankly, Ollie Moss was the one people were after. He just his prints go for a lot of money. They're very coveted, and he hasn't put out a piece with Mondo in quite some time. And so it was just something people were gunning for. Now, Andrew, you and I both attempted to get one. How close did you get?
Very close. It was in the confirmation phase. It got to the confirmation phase. So PayPal had already gone through and everything had gone through, but it had gotten to the confirmation phase and it said inventory error. So, I think it was within 30 seconds they were sold out.
Yeah. Oh, I would say less. So same thing.
I got one.
No, you didn't. No, so same thing. And here's the thing. I knew it'd sell fast, but because it was an edition of 425, I thought, I'll still have a little bit of time, and I'm going to be, so I don't use, it's not like I have a bot that does the purchase experience. I do have something that is watching for web changes. Now, I've scaled it back where it only is checking every 3 seconds, which is that can actually make a huge difference in purchasing one of these. But I did have something alert me that it was available. And so I have to click through the process. I added to cart, move through. It had to calculate, I had to say purchase. I had to calculate shipping options. I had to select it. I had to click PayPal. In my PayPal, I had to click which account I wanted it to pull from. And then hit submit on PayPal. It's doing the spin thing. It's the same place you were, Andrew. And it kicked me back to the inventory issue, and it was sold out. So
how long do you think that took you? That whole sequence of events?
I'm going to be honest. I would say less than 15 seconds. Andrew, I know you're saying 30, but I'm telling you, unless it was a caching thing and I saw it after you, I felt like I was trucking.
So did I. Yeah, I was trucking. My one error that I told you about, my one error was I accidentally added 2 to the cart, and I had to do the update cart. So I had 1 extra click than you, which was, 2. I had to click the arrow down to be from 2 to 1, and then I had to click update cart.
Right.
So that's an additional 5 seconds maybe of total cognition /click /load time. But even still, I thought that was fine. Because all of that happened within 30 seconds. I'm not saying it took a full 30 seconds. I'm saying within 30 seconds this happened. So maybe
Absolutely.
15 or 20 seconds. Yeah.
Super quick. So, and again, this is something that happens. So I've only been actively following Mondo for maybe 2.5 years, maybe something like that. It hasn't been a terribly long time. It's been less than the amount of time we've been doing the podcast.
Yep.
Now, I do have a couple Mondo prints back here. I've got some stacked on the floor beside me, and so I've managed to get a couple. I've also lost a few. I've got probably a list just as long that I've lost as I had that I've gotten, and I'm sure for both of you it's the exact same thing. You've managed to get a few, lost a few.
Luke doesn't even try. He hates everybody.
He has. Ohio barely has internet. They have.
Yeah.
This is via.
He still uses the AOL discs.
Ghostbusters, I don't care.
Fair.
That's decent. Yeah.
Fair.
Smart.
So, but this is the deal. So when they release, you always get this smattering of messages. Same thing. Let's see. It's time to admit that your site is broken beyond repair. Let's see. Something about everybody uses bots. All these only cheaters have a chance. Hold on. There's some great ones. Screw
I can't wait to
this
dialogue
in all
about this.
caps. I'm done with Mondo. Why even bother? This is just, it's constant. And so there's this question, and we've had Mitch and Rob on the show before. We've talked to them and they've responded to this a bit, but it's this thing of, is this a broken experience? And is there a better way that Mondo can go about this? So I personally have what I feel is an answer, but I want to first open it up to you two guys. So, Luke, you have the least experience. So I feel like we should start with you.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on the situation?
Listen, so here's the thing. From what I gather, from what the experience is, I think it's probably the best it can be. Now, I don't know how to build a shopping experience. I don't know how to craft it. I don't know the code to write to make it the most efficient and how you handle the traffic coming to it and all of that. I have no clue. But it seems pretty fair. And that's about all I can say.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to agree. I was, with the very first time I tried doing it, I was one of the people, I admit, and I think I even said this to Mitch, to Rob and Mitch. I was one of the people who sent one of those emails. The very first time I tried to get one, it was the Mike Mignola Frankenstein piece. And it was like, gosh, it was probably close to...
Mignola is your boy, too.
Oh, yeah. It was probably like 3.5 or 4 years ago when I tried to do this. And I had it in my cart, went through the whole process, and then got to the end, and there was an inventory issues, essentially what happened today. But at the time, I didn't know that putting it in the cart didn't secure. Like, I thought, oh, okay, I can take my time.
Did you have it sitting in the cart for time, like for a while?
Well, I didn't know enough to go and like log into PayPal and all that stuff. And
okay, but you didn't like put it in the cart and then try and buy it like an hour later.
No. I put it in the cart and then went and logged into
PayPal and all that. Yeah,
I think I don't even know if I had a Mondo account at that point yet. So I think it was like I put it in my cart and then I had to create a Mondo account and then I went through the PayPal process.
No chance. You had no chance, but that's fine. You didn't know.
It was still, I didn't know. It was like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And I got to the end and I was really confused. And so I think I sent one of those emails like, hey, it was in my cart and blah, 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 blah. And now I realize, I must have come off as like a huge jerk. It wasn't scathing or like, screw this. I was just like, hey, can you explain to me why it was no longer in my cart? And they came back and said, well, putting it in your cart doesn't do anything. It doesn't secure anything until you've paid it. But like how else do you do it? Like I guess that's the... I have purchased my fair share, so I don't think that I've missed as many as I've gotten. I think when it comes down to it, I think my success rate is probably 70%.
And you're like a refresh, like you like.
I don't do any bots. I wouldn't even claim to know how that even works. So as far as like only cheaters,
well, that's
like,
short for robots.
But thanks. No, but as far as like only cheaters have a chance, that's bullcrap. Like that's just not real.
Yeah,
cheaters have a better 70%. Cheaters have a better chance, but they're not the only ones that have a chance.
Well, hold on. Well,
my wall would say otherwise. You know?
I was going to say, let's not get into the specifics of the cheater, not cheater. I was softening the blow. To be fair, I'm probably about like you are. I think I'm probably about 75%. It's fine. So I think you're exactly right. I mean, I think the bigger question is what can you do differently? And so I have used a website before that specifically would allow you to, it would reserve once you put it in cart. And as long as you kept it in cart, it was reserved at the point. Well, the problem is...
Is there a timeout in that?
I'm not sure how they handled it, but I do know it would actually hold it for the session. And... But what I would do, because a lot of the people that are one of the big complaints is that people are speculating, right? They're buying it to resell. It's the reason that you see them on eBay beforehand, and it's amazing how many of those Ali Moss prints are selling on eBay right now. And so if you're allowed to hold it in cart, what it does is allows you to reserve it, make sure it sells out before you commit. And so by doing that, it frankly just makes it... it makes it easier to do the speculating piece, but at the same time, potentially that, for you to get something, you have to accept the risk that you might purchase something and then regret it, or you might purchase something and maybe it's not as valuable as you thought it was going to be or whatever. And so if you're allowed to wait, that's potentially a hit to the artist as well. I mean, the fact is, like, in some ways, the speculating, like, I understand where it feels like all these people are snapping these up and they're selling them. But at the same time, they're supporting artists and they are supporting this other thing. And so frankly, there are times that prints underperform. I mean, there are some prints that do hit Mondo that hang around for a few days. There are some prints, and I hate it because one of my favorite is the Ingrid Goes West. I actually really love that print, and it's still available in Mondo. That's crazy that it has not sold out yet. But for the people that snapped it up, I mean, I love that because those are prints that went out the door that might not have otherwise, and those are prints that are sporting Mondo, sporting the artist, etc. So I think you should have to accept the risk if you are speculating. Now, I understand some people are still furious at the statement because, I care about it. I want it on my wall. I'm not trying to sell it, so why should they get it, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's not really a more fair system. I mean, the fact is that if you do care about it deeply, then the system you have might be buying it resale. I mean, it's not like the print is unavailable. So the only thing that Mondo could do to diminish the amount of people speculating would be to raise the prices to the point that it is aftermarket prices. That's the only way you're going to diminish it. You have to take away the reward for speculating in order to prevent it from happening. I mean, that's what you would need to do. But that means that for the people that are buying it that want to hold on to it, now they're paying 2, 3, 4 times the amount for something.
And here's and I think an important note to make that is based on something you said a second ago. We've talked to several artists who recognize the importance of the aftermarket price and what it does to their brand.
Sure.
Totally.
Like it doesn't hurt their brand for the prices to go up afterwards.
Right.
And there's a back and forth there, obviously, and some of the people that we've talked to have said they recognize there's a balance to be struck there, but it's who is it hurting? I guess is the question that you have to.
And frankly, it's part of the whole experience. So Mondo could raise their prices, but then there's a whole nother level of complaints that these prices have been jacked up. I mean, honestly, for what they're putting out, their prices are incredibly reasonable. I don't know how many people that are listening have priced like manufacturing this stuff. These are great prices. And so that's a trade-off. Now, you could also say, well, someone has to go to the gallery to buy it. Now there's not a bot involved because we've removed the internet. Well, obviously, you now have a geographical advantage. And then you open up a whole nother issue, which is like people paying other people to be their buyers. We see this during things like MondoCon. We see it when they do local galleries. So there's a whole set of trade-offs, another set of problems. And then you have the person in Australia that now has no chance of getting it. And so, again, if you ultimately have to strike a balance somewhere. And I think, actually, can it be frustrating? Certainly. Part of me says I hate for someone that genuinely appreciates the piece to be deprived of it. But ultimately, I know it is going to end up in the hands of people that do appreciate it. And I do know, like you said, Andrew, it's supporting the artist. And supporting the artist means that the artist can make more cool stuff that then you have a chance to buy.
Right.
So this is the trade-off. So I think the systems the best are going to get it. Now, some tips for people. If you watch this point, you just missed the print. I'm sorry. Here's what you do next. Part of what Mondo does in paying the artist is that they give the artist APs. They give them some number.
Most of the time. We don't know if it's every single time.
It seems like it's a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But sure. So
it's a pretty standard, especially with some of these artists who are big enough. It helps with the cost. Like, it's part of their payment.
We just can't say definitively it's every single time because we don't know.
I'm going to say definitively it's every single time.
Thank you. So
wrong.
one of them's right. Guess who? Okay, and then it's some number. I don't know the exact number. I don't know if it's 20 APs, 50 APs. I don't know the number. I'm guessing that probably varies depending on the size of the run.
That's negotiable, yeah.
All that kind of thing. But ultimately, the artist gets APs. So if you just missed out on a print, yes, that sucks. But here's what you do. Reach out to the artist. Let the artist know that you want one. Some artists will go ahead and write you on a list and sell it to you. If not, they may tell you, hey, I can't do that. I need to release it in a fair way. You should be seeing them drop in a couple of weeks. Something along those lines. Some artists choose to drop.
Holding them for a con.
Right, exactly. So some artists choose to drop their APs as soon as Mondo sells out, like day of or next day. Some people choose to hold theirs for a couple weeks. Communicate with the artist. Talk to the artist. If they have a newsletter, follow the newsletter because they'll probably push it out through there. So hope is not lost. You still may be able to buy one from the artist. Some artists charge the Mondo price. Some artists charge market price. Some split the difference. Thank you to those that split the difference. I think that's a great way to handle it. But in any case, hope is not lost. Check with the artist. The next thing you can do, what Andrew just said, go to a con where the artist is going to be. Most of these artists hold a few specifically to take to cons because it brings people to their booth and then they can obviously sell other things. So if you missed out on, like for instance, Matt Taylor had a great Guardians of the Galaxy piece and a great Baby Driver piece. He's going to be at MondoCon. If you go to MondoCon, he will probably have some of those pieces if you've missed out. So that's just an example. So go to where the artist is, have their relationship. Certainly, you can always buy one off eBay. Your last bet every year, Mondo does a flat file sale. This happens the weekend of Thanksgiving. During the flat file sale, so basically when Mondo orders prints, they always order more than the edition size, and that's in case some prints get damaged, either through shipping or through handling or whatever. So they want to make sure they can fulfill the entire edition, so they will have extras. Those extras, whether they go out as APs or they hold them for the flat file, typically they have one or two left over in their flat file. And at Thanksgiving, during their flat file sale, they make them available. Not only the prints from the previous year.
It's a one-stop drop. They drop everything at once. The whole page, the whole site refreshes, and it's a free-for-all.
Good luck.
And I
Except you pay for it. It's not free, but it's like everyone. Every
but
man
they
for themselves.
sell them for the original price they sold them at. They don't mark them up at all. I managed to get a killer print this past year. Now it's a madhouse. You have to be quick. But the point is you do have another opportunity. So if you have something specific you're looking for, it's possible you could also pick it up at the flat file sale that happens every year. And the last thing is if you're in the Austin area, just go to the gallery and talk to someone. And who knows? I'll say this. Artists are incredibly friendly. The artists... And it's beyond the idea of making money. They want you to own it because they're proud of it and they want people to be proud of it and hang it on their walls. Like the artists want to get it in your hands. Talk to the artists, talk to the people at the galleries, go to shows.
That is one thing that is universal, I would say.
Yeah.
Some artists don't like the art of speculating. Some artists don't care as much. Some artists are in favor of it because it drives their market price up. But one thing that is universal that I think it holds true with everybody that we've talked to, ultimately they want it hanging on the wall, not in a tube somewhere on an eBay store. Right. They want it on people's walls. That matters to them. And so they will do. There is some artwork that is on my wall right behind this camera that I reached out to it long since sold out. I reached out to the artist. They had none, and then they actually went on the hunt for me. And like 6 or 8 months later, they found a copy and had it shipped to me.
Yeah.
That's how much it matters to these people that this. So I mean, reach out to the artists. You know, it's what is the worst that could happen? You're talking. The worst that could happen is the person that you've never talked to before. It never talks to you. The best thing that could happen is these people that you admire and that you love their stuff reaches back out to you and they help you get the thing that you want.
Yeah.
And it's a win-win situation. So
totally. Is there a better way to handle it? I agree with you guys. I don't think so. Are there frustrating pieces of this? Absolutely. But there are also trade-offs with other systems. If you miss it on Mondo, that's not great, but stay positive. There are other ways for you to get the print. In any case, just remember that what you do is supporting art and artists, and doing that leads to more art and artists, which means more cool stuff to buy. So that is it for this episode. Andrew, should you start the sign off? That feels natural to me.
Yeah, it does. So we're gonna go ahead and head out of here. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
I'm still Luke.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hold on to something.